Welcome to Abnormal Truth, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today's video is why people think the Earth is flat. Haven't they seen the International Space Station on TV? I mean, did they not know that we landed on the moon? What about GPS satellites? These are all questions I was asking myself before I looked into the flat Earth, but I think the main question I had was, what are these people thinking? Why are they saying this? In the same way I looked into the occult, I did not have any aspirations of being an occultist. I just wanted to know what they thought and what the deal was with the occult. In the same way I did that with the Earth's major religions. I wanted to know their core beliefs, how their religion got started. So it's the same attitude I took with the flat Earth. I just finally had to know what these people were saying. I could not fathom why they thought the Earth was flat. And I believe most people are in that situation when they're looking into the flat Earth. So this video is not to prove or disprove the flat Earth, and it's not trying to disprove the heliocentric model. It's simply giving you a general overview of the beliefs that the flat earthers have. And this is a general statement because flat earthers believe in different things, but there is kind of a basic reasoning and story behind it. So that's the purpose of this video. Now, after looking into this for about 6 or 7 months, NASA is a big part of this story. And I want to explain this. There's a difference between NASA hoaxing the moon missions, and there's a difference in between that and NASA faking everything that they do. So in the moon landings, to me it's obvious that all of that is a hoax. There are too many holes in that story. And then if you look into it further and look up how there's air bubbles coming off of astronauts when they're doing a spacewalk, I've seen that on 3 different videos. Then I've also seen a guy in scuba gear in the International Space Station in a compartment. He wasn't out actually doing a spacewalk in his scuba gear, but you could see him in a compartment that was open to space. And you could see a guy with the tank on his back, and he's in that black scuba gear. And those are just a few examples, because I'm not here to prove or disprove NASA either. But you basically can't be a flat earther if you believe pretty much anything NASA says. And so for me, I already knew NASA was lying, but it would be a different story if they were just lying about the moon hoax. There were reasons for that, beyond just if the Earth was flat or a ball or what kind of configuration it is. They had Cold War reasons. We had Russia beating us in the space race. So that would be a different story if it was just the moon landings. And I think a lot of people are at that point where, yeah, they believe they faked the moon landings. Maybe they went back later. But if you look into it some more, you'll see that they have hoaxed pretty much the whole operation. NASA will tell you that, yes, that's not a real picture of the Earth. It's a composite image. And they have their BS reasons why. And you just have to look into it. But this is what the flat earthers believe. And just one example of the moon landing hoax, which I used to tell a lot of people, because it's so obvious. The picture coming up is the lunar module taking off of the surface of the moon. Now the problem with this picture is it's taken from the moon. And as far as I remember, I don't ever remember them leaving some unknown astronaut on the moon just so they could get that shot. I mean, that is a big red flag right there, folks. That should get you to look into it. I mean, seriously, who took that picture? How is that possible? There was no extra camera crew on the moon, was there? So it's things like that that really make you look into it, or should if you're curious, or if you want to know. And so those are the kind of things that just make you distrust NASA. It's like a friend that's lied to you 100 times. Do you believe anything he says after even a couple of times? So the flat earth theory really is, the backbone of it is NASA. So you have to understand these things to even consider the earth being flat. Now, once you realize that everything has been hoaxed, you have to ask yourself, what are they lying about? It must be something huge for them to do that. Because like I said, it's not just the moon missions. It's pretty much everything. And so the reason why flat earthers make that leap into what is NASA lying about and concluding on the flat earth is it does fit really well. It's a big enough thing for them to lie on that scale. The Bible actually says the earth is fixed and is stationary and has a firmament over it. And whether or not the firmament is a solid object can be debated, but when you look at the ancient Hebrew word that they used and put it in Strong's Concordance and see the definition of the word, it really sounds like it's something solid. But anyway, we really don't know because NASA has lied to us so much. And that's the different beliefs that flat earthers have. Some think there's a dome. Some people don't think there's a dome. Some people think there's a ring of ice around us. You know, it's the fact is we really don't know. But it fits the lie perfectly. And also it's what God said in the Bible. Now, I can't say that the Lord said that the earth was flat, but I have concluded that it definitely says that it is fixed and stationary, as in not spinning, and it has a dome around it. So you combine those two things, and I'm sure not every flat earther has the religion part of it. It just makes sense to them. And then you start looking into how the heliocentric model came to be, and how they've had to come out with all these theories to explain the heliocentric model. And it starts getting wild. They have to really stretch the mathematics to make these things work. And then when you understand that even the theory of gravity, you know, that it was 3 times as thick as the Bible, and he still didn't prove it. And it has a lot of ifs in it. And it starts with if. And, you know, the theory's been around for, 200 years, and it's still a theory. And it really seems like this magical explanation of how the clouds don't go by faster. Because, you know, we're spinning at approximately 1,000 miles an hour. There's lots of problems with that. How come planes going the opposite direction of the spin of the earth, how come that doesn't slow them down? Or actually they'd probably go backwards. How come if you hover in a helicopter or say something like a blimp for a couple hours, how come the earth doesn't travel under you? It's like this magical force that glues everything to the earth. Why does the water stay flat? There's lots of holes in the theory of gravity It almost seems like the theory of magic. You know, a dandelion can float in the air, but yet it keeps us on the ground. So just realize on a flat Earth model, you don't even need gravity. So what else have we got here? Um, Another thing is there's kind of a story about Antarctica that would fill in some gaps, and it basically has to do with Admiral Byrd and his explorations to Antarctica. And in this old forgotten, I think it was 1954, in this old show, he actually tells everybody that they found a whole nother continent with all these resources on it. And there's lots of strange things going on with those expeditions he did. And you can look up Project High Jump. It was one of the expeditions he did actually with the military, with the aircraft carriers and everything. So it's very interesting. And right after that, I believe like 58, I could be wrong on the date, but in that time frame, the U.S. and Russia started sending up nukes into the sky. And very expensive to do back then. And these were very large nuclear explosions. And it seems like to the flat earthers that they were trying to figure out the boundaries to this firmament. I don't think necessarily they were trying to blow a hole in it. I hope not. But so there's actually a backstory to this that makes sense also. And so that in a nutshell is what the flat earth movement is all about. And whether or not the flat earthers are right about this, I still like that people are questioning their reality. And I'd like to say that people that look into subjects like that, they're actually the skeptics, because they are going against mainstream thought and giving these subjects like a second look, okay? And I really don't see anything wrong with that. That's good for people to do. You know, you need to question what the authorities tell you. And the more you look into it, the more you know that you need to look into it even more, because if they're lying about this, what else are they lying to us about? This is a major lie. So there's people that just regurgitate what the paradigm is currently, and they think they're smart. You're not really doing anything. You're not really being a skeptic. You're regurgitating what most people think already. So it's kind of funny to me how those people are called skeptics. But I think you can't get any more skeptical than the flat earth. You really can't. It's going against everything you've been taught since you was a kid, and things that are on TV and the movies and the media and the radio and everything else targeting you to believe in this heliocentric model. And so I would like to say that the heliocentric model, I think in my thoughts, was brought about to bring us further away from God. Now this isn't a religious channel or a biblical channel, but I can tell you that looking into the flat earth has actually brought me back to my faith, because beforehand I was just thinking, well, we're just random chance beings that are on a speck of dust in a very large universe that we can't even conceive how large it is. And although the churches survived the heliocentric model change, they're still discounting that the Lord said the earth was stationary and was covered by a firmament. And it still hurt them in the way that it brings people away from God. It's a very different story, and I would have lived my life a lot differently if I had a thought that we were in an enclosed system and God's throne was right on top of us, not somewhere, some unknown location throughout the universe. He's actually close and he's looking down on us. And that's a big difference. And I think the larger conspiracy is that something, I can only assume it is Satan doing it. After millennia, they have slowly picked away at the church. It is a big conspiracy that takes a lot of time to implement and has been implemented. And after looking into all these kind of things, you really get this picture of it is a spiritual battle going on Earth. This may even be more of a spiritual realm than we ever have imagined. So I hope this video shed some light on the basics of what flat earthers believe. And so if you have any comments, leave them down in the comment section. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed my videos. And like and subscribe to those other channels that you've been listening to. It really helps us out, helps our videos get out. It's really tough when you're a small channel trying to get started. So those kind of things go a long way. And even commenting, just letting us know that somebody's out there listening, that helps a lot. And so anyway, guys, till next time, keep your eyes open and just know that the truth is abnormal.